Hello and welcome to Persuasive Speaking for Argumentation and Debate. I'm Dr. Rick Merritt. We've discussed the various components of an argument in other videos. Now we're going to put them all together for an individual speech. In this video, we'll discuss the 3 keys to persuasion, how to organize your speech, preparing and practicing your speech, and lastly, we'll discuss public speaking anxiety and how to manage it. Let's begin. At this point, you know how to develop an argument. Now we're going to take that argument and make it into a speech. Public speakers need to be aware of 3 key concepts: ethos, logos, and pathos. Aristotle discussed these concepts in his work called Rhetoric. He identified ethos as the credibility of the speaker. This includes your personal knowledge and experience for which you must tell the audience. For example, in an introduction to a speech on public speaking, I would tell the audience that I've been teaching public speaking for over 20 years and am a member of Toastmasters International. That's my personal experience. Also, credibility is shown by the confidence you have as a speaker. Confidence takes time, but there are ways to improve your confidence pretty quickly. The easiest way is to practice, practice, practice. You'll hear me say this a great deal. That's because it's extremely important. Next is logos. Logos is the logic you bring to your speech. It means having a strong claim. It also includes the reasoning and evidence we have been discussing. You must have reasons and evidence for the audience to accept your claim. Logos and ethos will help you persuade the logical thinkers in the audience, but it's not enough. You must also consider the emotional aspects of the topic. This is where pathos comes in. Pathos is the emotional part of the argument. Includes stories that demonstrate the emotional impact of the claim. For example, if you are speaking on human trafficking, you can tell stories of people who have been kidnapped and forced into slavery of one kind or another to help you make your point. Think of pathos as the human side of your argument. Pathos, along with logos and ethos, provide the total package for your presentation. When one is missing, the speech will not provide the audience with the full picture and will make your presentation less successful. Next up is organizing your speech. In this section, we'll discuss the 3 parts of a speech. So, how do you organize a speech? This is a very good question. The 3 parts of the speech are the introduction, body, and conclusion. Essentially, you are telling the audience what you will tell them, then you will tell them, and finally you will tell them what you told them. If this seems redundant, it is. And that is purposeful. When we hear things presented more than once, we are more likely to remember them. We will be looking at sample speeches later in the class. These speeches will exemplify this process. Now let's take a look at the various speech components in detail. In the introduction, you will first start your speech by using an intention getter. Never start your speech by saying, "Hi, my name is." Use an attention getter. For example, you may say, according to Secretary of State John Kerry, there is a crime wave that impacts more than 20 million people and profits exceed $150 billion a year. What is this crime? Human trafficking or modern-day slavery. This will attract attention to your audience, and your audience will be able to relate to what you're saying. This also serves to introduce your topic. Then you will note your credibility. You can say something such as, "I became interested in this issue and working on a project for my English class. I've done significant research and am passionate about the topic." You've established credibility or ethos, and your passion also establishes a level of emotion or pathos. Then you'll want to give them a preview. For example, you'll note that you will establish the issue by citing statistics from trafficking reports, and will tell Angela's story, who was a modern-day slave right here in the United States. In the body of the speech, you'll want to establish the issue, provide the reasons, evidence with the logic or logos in the speech. Then you will tell the audience what you want them to do. Could be to donate to an organization or volunteer. If this were a policy speech, you would offer a solution to the problem. We will see both a value and a policy speech later in the class. Finally, you're going to close the speech. To get to the conclusion, you can and should say something like, "In conclusion." This signals to the audience that you are ending the speech. Then repeat, what you want the audience to do, and end strongly. For example, let's work together to make human trafficking a thing of the past. Avoid saying things like, "That's it, that's all I have." This weakens your speech, and you don't want to do that. Now let's move into the preparation for the speech. You will want to start on the speech now. Begin outlining the speech. Do not write your speech out word for word. You will read it. And unless you have had professional training as a broadcaster or audio book reader, you will be boring. An outline allows you to be flexible and make changes. Also remember, use the online databases at the library to gather your evidence for your speech. And remember, you must include the sources for all of your evidence in your speech. Once you have your base outline, start practicing at it. Practicing will make you a crime-fighting hero. When you practice, it's okay to make changes on the speech. However, it's best to go through the entire speech each time you practice. That way you become familiar with the entire speech, not just the first few points. When I practice, I always time myself. I anticipate the speech will be longer than needed and trim as I'm practicing. This works well for me, and if something else works better for you, do it, and share your success with the rest of the group. The worst thing to do is to wait until the last minute. That builds anxiety and will not result in effective speech. This will not make you a crime-fighting hero. Speaking of anxiety, we are now going to discuss the issue of public speaking anxiety and provide some tips to help you deal with it. There is good news and bad news about public speaking anxiety. The bad news is it's real, and chances are you have some anxiety about public speaking. Some may have a great deal of anxiety. According to the National Institutes of Mental Health, 74% of people suffer from public speaking anxiety. The good news is you can overcome it. The solution comes from your head. Do not let negative thoughts about public speaking such as, "I am terrified," "I will throw up," "I will faint," or even, "I will die." Trust me, no one has done any of the latter three things since I've been teaching speech, and no, you will not be the first to have these things befall you. The solution? You need to tell yourself positive things such as, "I am a well-prepared and confident public speaker." This will lead to marvelous outcomes. If this young lady can be a well-prepared and confident public speaker, you can too. The key is to let yourself know you can do it. That's it for this segment. Remember to think positive thoughts and to tell yourself you are a well-prepared and confident public speaker. I'm Dr. Rick Merritt. See you in class.